Good morning to everybody who came here this morning to listen to the Amud Yomi Shiur. Welcome to people on Zoom, and welcome to everybody on Torah Anytime in and on YouTube. Torah Anytime is a very, very nice new website, newly designed, very, very nice design. I recommend watching many Shiurim Torah anytime you want. Okay, so we are in Daf Lamed Ches Amud Beis. Lamed Ches Amud Beis. We're getting there. Lamed Ches Amud Beis. A few lines after the top of the page. Yes. Okay. Yes. The two dots. Shiloh Avodim. Okay. Line starts with the word Shiloh Avodim. Okay. And we said in the previous brisa, this year, by the way, is Le'ilu Nishmas Ovi Moiri Menachem Ben Akiva, Rus Bas Shalom, Thor Bas Moshe, Aviva Bas Moshe, Le'atzlochas Kol Klal Yisrael. May they all be won over very quickly, and all our people should come back home safe and sound. Mashiach should be here. Shiluach avodim choyves aguf. Two dots. Then the next line is Shiluach avodim choyves aguf. The question is as follows. We said yesterday that there are two mitzvahs, although these two mitzvahs were commanded only when they came into Eretz Yisrael. Nevertheless, those mitzvahs also apply in Chutz La'aretz. There are two mitzvahs which could be looked at as Tluya Ba'aretz. Nevertheless, those mitzvahs do apply all over the world. These two mitzvahs are Shmitas Ksofim, meaning in the seventh year, debts that were accumulated before Shemitah should not be collected, right? Unless there's a pusbul. Secondly, Shiluach Avodim. If a person has an Eved Ivri, the Eved Ivri was Nirtza, right? Although today Eved Ivri doesn't apply, but if there's an Eved Ivri, he should be let go when? By Yovel, the 50th year in the cycle. That applies in Chutz La'aretz too. And the question of the Gemara was, why would have I thought otherwise? In other words, these mitzvahs, the Shmitas Ksofim and the Shiluach Avodim, are not totally ba'aretz. They're not agricultural mitzvahs, they're mitzvahs shebaguf, right? So regarding Shmitas Ksofim, we answered the Shmitas Ksofim and Shmitas Karka, the two Shmitos, the one of the money and the one of the land of, abstaining from work in the land, they go hand in hand. If one is Doraisa, the other one Doraisa. When the other one doesn't apply, the other one doesn't apply. So therefore, I would have thought that just like in Chutz La'aretz, you don't have to stop working in the seventh year, Shemitah, so too, Shmitas Ksofim doesn't apply. There was a Havamina, Kamash Malan, Shemitah Mikol Mokoy. Now the Gemara is going to address the second one, the second mitzvah in that short list of Shiluach Avodim. Fragt the Gemara, Shiluach Avodim Choyves Agufi. Shiluach Avodim is a choiva on the guf, the body of the person. In other words, it has nothing to do with the land. The person has no land. The person has an eved who works in his diamond factory, right? Okay, very nice. And it's a choives haguf. It's a choiva on the person, on the owner, to actually set him free by yovel. Why would have I thought otherwise? Why does the Bryce have to tell me a chiddush that applies everywhere? Of course, it applies everywhere. Answers the Gemara. I would have thought otherwise. It says in the pasuk, "Ukroosem dror ba'oretz." It says, "Kidashtem et shnas hachamishim shono ukrasem dror ba'oretz l'chol yoshveo." In the 50th year, you sanctify the 50th year. BSD declare this is Yovel. On Yom Kippur of Yovel, you krasem dror. You call freedom. You declare freedom. Dror is freedom. You declare dror. Why dror? Because dar b'chol mokoim. A person who's free is a person who can choose to live wherever he wants. Dror, dar. You can live wherever he wants. So it says ba'aretz, in the land. That's a strong havamina. Ba'aretz in, b'chutz haaretz loy. It says you should call for freedom of the slaves in the land. I would have automatically derived from here. I would infer that ba'aretz and not in chutz haaretz, only in Eretz Yisrael, not in Mauritania. Talmud loymar yovel hi mikol mokoim. That's what it says. No, the pasuk repeats itself and writes yovel hi. Yovel hi tihelochem. It shall be yovel, a more general statement telling me that yovel applies everywhere. Imken matal mudloimar ba'oretz. So why is that so? So why does the Torah tell me the seemingly misleading word ba'oretz? Why does the Torah say ba'oretz? It doesn't say Boretz about Shatnez or Micah. So what does it say Boretz about Yovel? Answers the Brisa. Bizman, it's to do with time, not with place. Bizman shadro noeg Boretz, noeg b'chutz haaretz. En dro noeg Boretz, en noeg b'chutz haaretz. When, in time when the draw, the freedom applies in Eretz Yisrael, meaning when Yovel applies, and therefore during Yovel you have to set your Eved free, in Eretz Yisrael, it applies in Chutz Haaretz too. But where there is no dror in Eretz Yisrael, nowadays there's no Yovel. Yovel only applies, you know when? When Roiv Yisrael Shurim Al Admosam, where the majority of Klal Yisrael lives in Eretz Yisrael, that's when Yovel applies. Not to do with Beis Hamikdash even. Once the majority of Jews would come from Golders Green and Edgware and Finchley and Bushy, right? And all these places all over the world, right? And also Stamford Hill, all over the world. Yeah, so then what's going to be? We're going to have Yovel. So when Yovel applies in Eretz Yisrael, it applies in Chutz Haaretz. When Yovel does not apply in Eretz Yisrael, it's not knowing in Chutz Haaretz. Full stop. That was this opinion. Yes. And this is agreed by everybody, as far as I know, at least in our sugya, that is agreed, that is the consensus that these two mitzvahs apply everywhere. The main machloekes, as we've seen so far, I promise you I will soon answer your question. Bli neder. I'm just saying again, as an introduction, we're going back to where we started off from. The issue, again, up until now was chodosh. We have a big machloekes with two camps, and we're going to have more people in both camps of what? Does chodosh apply in Eretz Yisrael only, or does chodosh also apply in Chutz Haaretz? What does it depend on? How you read the word? I'm on strike. Shvita. Which word is the bone of contention? Moshvos. Moshvosechem. What's the question about Moshvosechem? Does Moshvosechem mean, or does it mean? Moshvosechem means here after 14 years, when you're properly settled, when you are sitting pretty, only then Chodesh applies, right? And for the first 14 years, they were allowed to eat as much Chodesh as they wanted. Or does Moshvosechem mean all over the world, wherever you settle? Yeah. Even in the Marshall Islands. You sit in the Marshall Islands, you have to keep Chodesh. That's in Australia. Yes. Okay. Go ahead. Yeah. Tnan Hosom. Now we're going to expand. We're going to see an extremely interesting Gemara now, all about Orla and Kilayim. If you remember, besides Mr. Chodesh, which is the star of the show here, yeah, Chodesh, which is a machloekes, whether it applies or doesn't in Chutz Haaretz, if it's noyeg, we also saw in the Mishnah different diburim and opinions regarding what? Orla and Kilayim in Chutz Haaretz. And we also saw in Amud Aleph, Rab Shimon ben Yochai saying what? That if Chodesh applies in Chutz Haaretz, and Chodesh is a relatively lenient mitzvah, or Chiyuv or Isser, yeah, all the more so, Orla and Kilayim. Why are Orla and Kilayim more severe than Chodesh? Give me one clear, good reason, quick. Starts with a hey, Orla and Kilayim. Hey, Hano, the also Ba'ano. There are other factors too. I just want you to remember at least one thing. Yeah, Hano. Chodesh is allowed Ba'ano. I'm allowed to have my animal eating from the new grains before they bring the korban. I can't eat it, but Rexy and Bessie, they can eat it. Yeah. Now, Kilayim and Orla, no. These are always the Kula Alma, the two clear Isurim, where they're even also Ba'ano. Says Rab Shimon ben Yochai, listen, if Chodesh is also in Chutz Haaretz, then Orla and Kilayim, surely they too are also in Chutz Haaretz midoraisa. That's Rab Shimon ben Yochai, okay? So he believes, and that supports one opinion in the Mishnah, all three are also all over the world. Orla, Kilayim, and Chodesh, according to Rab Shimon ben Yochai, don't do that, don't try that at home, it's not the halacha yet. He believes, yeah, if you go to the supermarket in wherever in Los Angeles, then what do you have to do? Check if it's Orla or Kilayim, even if it was grown in I don't know, in California. Still, you have to make sure. That's Rab Shimon ben Yochai. That's his opinion. Says now we're going to see other opinions. We're going to see now other tunes are going to be sounded here. Nan hosam. A chodesh osur min haTorah b'chol mokom. Chodesh osur min haTorah, according to this opinion, belongs to the camp that chodesh is also min haTorah everywhere. Moshvoseicha means wherever you are, even in Palau. You live in Palau, you have to keep chodosh min Torah medoraisa. Moshvosecha means everywhere. Orla, it's near Australia. Orla halacha. Orla is halacha, and I assume halacha usually means, although we're going to see, Orla is halacha l'Moshe Sinai. Orla does apply in chutz la'aretz. Halacha l'Moshe Sinai. In other words, it's an oral law, but doraisa. The level is doraisa. It's just not mentioned in the Torah Mefurash that Orla applies in chutz la'aretz, but it is halacha l'Moshe Sinai. That's one explanation. The Kilayim midivrei soifrim. As opposed to Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, this opinion believes that Kilayim is only midorabanan. Kilayim applies me, not midoraisa. Yeah, you live in Paraguay, then you keep Kilayim midivrei soifrim, meaning even if the goy did the Kilayim, you should be careful not to eat from the Kilayim midivrei soifrim midorabanan. That's what seems to be the story, but now the Gemara is going to come into a huge machlokes. I highly recommend that here you try and remember the names. Remember the names of each camp, because we're going to have two parties here. Tarte Mashma. There'll be a big party of two parties. There'll be a lot of back and forth between the two groups. So remember the names. My halacha. We said Orla. It's halacha that Orla applies in chutzarts all over the world. My halacha. What does it mean? Amar Yehuda Amar Shmuel. Hilchasa Medina. Rav Yehuda, on behalf of Shmuel, they belong to the Rabbanan party. Hilchasa Medina. It's a halacha established not by Medina as Medina Israel, Medina by the people. People accepted upon themselves to keep midarabanon Orla in chutz la'aretz, which means it's the Rabbanon, which means that both Kilayim and Orla are only midarabanon according to Rav Yehuda Omer Shmuel. So chodosh is the oraisa. That's why it says min haTorah. Now we understand what it says min haTorah. Why doesn't it say? Everybody knows the line. Chodosh also min haTorah. Why not chazir also min haTorah? Chodesh is also midoraisa, but both Orla and Kilayim in chutz la'aretz are just the Rabbanon. This is how. That's the opinion of Shmuel. Omar Yehuda Omar Shmuel. That was party number one. Says the second party, Ula Omar Rabbi Yochanan. Remember the names, my friends. Yeah. Ula on behalf of Rabbi Yochanan says, Halachal Moshe Sinai. No, he says Orla in chutz la'aretz is midoraisa. You know, I can remember the name. Ula starts with an ayin. Ula is an ayin in the lamed. Orla has ayin and lamed. He's a big believer in Orla. He says halacha means halacha l'Moshe Sinai. It's the oraisa. So according to Ula, Orla is the oraisa in chutz la'aretz and Kilayim the Rabbanon. Guys, it's very, very easy. It's very easy. I'm not going to make a chart because you are too intelligent for that. Everybody here believes that chodosh is midoraisa all over the world. In this party here, yeah, chodosh is doraisa. Yes. Everybody believes that Kilayim is the Rabbanon in chutzarts. Yes. There's just one keyhole machloikes regarding Orla in chutzarts. That's all. That's all. Orla in chutzarts, according to opinion number one, Rav Yehuda Omer Shmuel the Rabbanon. Ula b'shem Rabbi Yochanan says that in chutzarts it's doraisa not to eat Orla. It's really easy. Asks Tosfos, excuse me, what's with the Kal V'chomer? Didn't we say that if Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai gave us a heck of a Kal V'chomer, if Chodesh is the Oraisa, and we all agree on that here, yeah, then let alone Orla and Kilayim, says Tosfos, it says Sod Cholotizra Kilayim. We'll see it later on, I think tomorrow. Your field in Eretz Yisrael as opposed to the field in Chutz La'aretz. Because Midoraisa, a Jew only really owns land in Eretz Yisrael. The land which we really, really owned was by who? Yoshua. The Chalukah, B'nai Tzlofchad, the Chalukah L'Shvatim, we saw it in Bov Basra. Yeah, the B'nai Yosef had an issue. That's where you really, really are connected to the land. So your acres of land you have in wherever you have them in what? We said Papua New Guinea already, wherever, right? In Bhutan, so they are not really yours. Sadcha, excluding Chutz La'aretz. That's why they believe that Kilayim apply only in Chutz La'aretz midarabanan, only midarabanan, I mean. Orla is a machloikes. Is it halacha l'Moshe Sinai? Go, that beats any logic. Or is it only the Rabbanon according to Rav Yehuda Omer Shmuel? Now starts the machloikes. Now the ball is going to start rolling. Again, the machloikes we're focusing on today is one clear machloikes before we're going to branch out again. Machlokes is only regarding one thing. The next few lines are going to be focused on one thing only. Is Orla in Chutz La'aretz Doraisa Dorabbanon? That's all. Orla in Eretz Yisrael, of course, Doraisa. It's first in the Torah, right? You have Araltem Espir, Araltem Orloso, yeah. Yanetatem, you have to plant, then 3 years it's Osir. Chutz La'aretz, you have a tree in Chutz La'aretz, right? Very nice. It grows in Burundi. You have a tree who grew up in Burundi. Do you or don't you have to keep Orla Midorabbanon only or Midoraisa? That's a machlokes. Finished. Omer le'ula lo Rav Yehuda. Ula is in the Oraisa party. Yeah, now the debate. Mr. Yeah, the Oraisa party attacking the Darabonon party. Omer le'ula lo Rav Yehuda. Says Ula to Rav Yehuda. Bishum le'didi. According to what I say makes sense, and I'll tell you why. Bishum le'didi da'amina halachal mishim Sinai. Halachal mishim said the Oraisa, right? Hainu the shanilan ben sofik Orla the sofik Kilayim. I'll prove to you now, says Ula from a Mishnah, I'll prove to you now that there's a difference between Sofik Orla and Sofik Kilayim. Rabbi Sai, Sofik Doraisa, what is it? L'chumra or l'kula? La. Chumra. When you have a doubt and it questions Doraisa, l'chumra. You don't know if you benched or didn't bench, you have to bench again, it's Doraisa. Sofik Dorabonon, l'kula. Did I light Hanukkah candles or didn't I? You can light without a bracha again, but I'm saying Mikra din, you don't have to Mikra din. So now, there's a red herring here before we start. But first of all, just translate the words. Says Ula to Avyuda, I believe that Sofik Orla is Doraisa, in Kilayim or Dorabonon, right? Okay, very good. True. Fine. Orla Doraisa, Kilayim Dorabonon, 100%. No, Kilayim is always the Rabbanon, we said. Absolutely not. No. And I didn't say it either. No. You got it wrong. I'm sorry. Orla is the Oraisa and Kilayim the Rabbanon according to Ula. Kilayim for sure Rabbanon in Chutz La'aretz, right? According to me, I can understand what we're going to see now, that there's a difference between Sofek Orla in Chutz La'aretz to Sofek Kilayim in Chutz La'aretz. We're going to see a mission now that says something very perplexing, which needs understanding. And that is, what is the halacha regarding if I see Tim McKenzie or Tom McKinley, if they sell produce in Chutz La'aretz, and I don't know. I don't know if it came from Orla. It didn't come from Orla. Right? Says Rashi, what's a Sofik Orla? I know that McKenzie, in his very beautiful orchard of, apples, you name it, yeah? He has, an apple tree and what apple whole orchard. Some of them are less than 3 years old and some are older than 3. Let's say the 50-50. It's a Sofik. Or let's say he has 1 or 3, 4, 5 trees, and they're all Sofik Orla. I don't know exactly when they were planted. He doesn't remember either. He doesn't know. He doesn't care. We're not sure where they're holding. Sofik Orla. Sofik Kilayim. Also, yeah, there's produce coming from a field. I know that in that field there's some Kilayim and some non-Kilayim. I'm not sure. What would be the halacha? Now, normally we know that Sofik Doraisa l'chumra, right? Here, Sofik Doraisa l'chumra. I'm forced to tell you the end of the story a little bit, just so we can function further. There's a special halacha Mishimi that tells us that Sofik Orla b'chutz la'aretz, even according to those who say it's Doraisa, the Sofik of it is allowed. Wow. Okay. Sofik Orla b'chutz la'aretz is allowed. That's one of the famous halacha Mishimi Sinai. Halacha Mishimi Sinai, Sofik Orla in chutz la'aretz is allowed. If Mackenzie sells Orla in the supermarket, in wherever, in I don't know, Marks and Spencer, they sell fruit over there. Yeah. So if Marks and Spencer fruit, I don't know, Orla, not Orla, I don't have to ask questions. I don't have to, that's halacha. If I know that it came from Mackenzie's field and I know it's Orla, I'm not allowed to eat it. Yeah. I can't pick it myself and eat it, for sure not. If it's in the supermarket, Sofik Orla is allowed against regular halachic logic. Now, Sofik Kilayim is definitely allowed. We're talking here in Ula because it's Sofik Darabonon. So according to Ula, what we're going to see now, a Mishnah that tells us that both Sofik Orla is allowed and Sofik of Kilayim is also allowed. But the level of how allowed is it, the level of Kula is different. We're going to read it nice and slow. I promise. I invested here. I looked at the Rishonim. So we're going Be'ezras Hashem to see a clear picture over here about Sofik Orla in Chutz La'aretz versus Sofik Kilayim in Chutz La'aretz. Again, both are okay, but the level of okay is not the same. And if you don't know what I mean level of okay? That will be explained, Bezos Hashem, very, very well. Before we continue, one more introduction before you buckle up. There's a land, it's very friendly with Israel nowadays. It's called Syria. Extremely friendly. They're very nice people, all unbelievable. So Syria was once conquered by the Jews. Oh, you see, it's our fault. Yeah. So David HaMelech once he conquered Syria from the Syrians, from Aram Tzoiva, and that was a very, very debatable kind of kibush of conquering. Yeah. Why? Because David HaMelech did a kibush yochid, which means when Bnei Israel came to Eretz Yisrael, they conquered the land from the Shiva Sa'amamim, right? And then they took them to the Hague. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. Shiva Sa'amamim, they took over. There was kibush Rabim. Yeshua came. He worked upon, with the permission of the Urim Vetumim, right? Shishim Riboy, the whole of Klal Yisrael, and they conquered for the good and the benefit of the whole Klal Yisrael. David HaMelech, one sunny day, decided many years later, he's going to conquer Syria for himself. In other words, not as Melech Yisrael, but as an individual. He's going to take him and some soldiers, and they won the war, and they managed to conquer Syria from wherever the king was over there, Aram Tzoiva. Now, what does it mean kibush? It's called kibush yochid. Kibush yochid has three different explanations. Either, as I told you, you don't have Urim V'Tumim. David HaMelech did not ask the Urim V'Tumim. Not that it was wrong. He didn't consult with Urim V'Tumim. He said, it's my own private business. I'm not acting now as a Rosh Memshala, as a Melech. I'm doing my own thing, my own gig, so I can do whatever I want. And also, I don't have Shishim Riba, just me. Choices gives another, or Rashi says he didn't do it for everyone, he did it for himself. Schuto, he can do it. Another interesting explanation of Tosfos, I think either of the Zorach of Aleph or Gitin Ches, I'm not sure. Tosfos says no. You know it's kibush yochid? David did not finish conquering the whole of Eretz Yisrael. There were parts in Eretz Yisrael which were not yet conquered. It didn't yet belong to the Jews. Yeah, they were like pockets, like holes full of Arabs, full of Shiva Samamim. Yeah, right. And what? And HaKadosh Baruch Hu actually took an umbrage, and he told David, you're wrong. You're conquering the extra, the icing on the cake before you have the cake. The whole of Eretz Yisrael is not yours yet, and you're going to conquer other, more exciting, exotic places before you actually got the mainland itself under your belt, right? And according to Tosfos brings the medrash, it wasn't right. In any event, kibush yochid, tzemachloikes, we now hold with the opinion that David's kibush that's what we care about now, did not give Syria the halachic. I'm stressing, it's not politics or history over here. Halachically, Syria is not part of Eretz Yisrael. He conquered it? That's not called conquering. Because we're missing all the factors of a real halachic kibush, either not together, not for everybody, not asking, all these things. He did not do it, not that it was wrong, dafka, but it's not halachically now annexed to Eretz Yisrael. Says Rashi, Stofach, he did annex it politically. So that's a very dangerous place, because Syria is what? Is a place where people think is Israel, but it's not, exactly like Eilat. Eilat, no offense, I know, yeah, but Eilat is not halachically part of Eretz Yisrael, according to 90% of the opinion, or more, almost 100%. It's part of the state of Israel, it's not part of the real Eretz Yisrael. That was the status of Syria. Jews lived there, it was very nearby, but it wasn't halachically part of Eretz Yisrael. And that can create confusion, because let's imagine people in Syria go to Osher Ad and Rami Levi of Syria, and it looks and feels like Israel, right? And they don't take Trumas to Maasros, and they don't do any mitzvah tluya ba'aretz. What's going to happen next? They're going to come back home to Tveria and do the same. Yeah. So with Syria, for certain areas, was halachically midorabanon. You have to treat it not as kula as chutz laaretz, not as chumer as Eretz Yisrael. Yeah, it was like somewhere halachically midorabanon. They gave it certain, fences and gdarim to treat it similar to Eretz Yisrael. So from now on, we're going to have a chart, so to speak, a mental chart of Orla versus Kilayim, and how Orla and Kilayim behave in three different places: proper Eretz Yisrael, Syria, and Chutz Laaretz, real Chutz Laaretz, Kazakhstan, far away. Okay. Now we can start the Mishnah nice and slow. Yeah, Ditnan. It says as follows: Sofek Orla ba'aretz also. You have a Sofek Orla in Eretz Yisrael, not allowed. Yeah, let's say that farmer Moshe Koyen, David Shmunsky, whatever, they have what? a field of Orla, and they're not necessarily the biggest here Shemaim. I don't know if these guys sells Orla, not Orla. In Eretz Israel, you have a Sofek in the Orla. He sells it in the market. No keep on his head. The Babasali, yeah, didn't give him the hechsher, just a picture on the wall. Yeah. So then, is it Orla, not Orla? Trust me. Okay, I'll trust you. Also, you can't eat Sofek Orla in Eretz Israel. Why? Orla in Eretz Israel is what? The Raisa. Sofek the Raisa also. Tick, tick, poshut. Syria mutter. In Syria, it's allowed. To what level is it allowed? In Syria, it's allowed, which means, what does it mean that it's allowed? That in Chutz La'aretz, let's say you see Mahmoud Abdul selling his produce in Syria, and I know that maybe in the field, even if he's right outside the field, Syria, I know that Mahmoud has some Orla in his orchard, and he's selling it outside the orchard, which may or may not have Orla. I'm allowed to eat it there. I'm allowed to. Yeah, that's allowed. Why? Because although Sofek Orla is Sofek Doraisa, in Chutz La'aretz they allowed it, and Syria is Chutz La'aretz. So why did I tell you Syria is more severe than the proper Chutz La'aretz? Now you'll see the difference. The Chutz La'aretz, real Chutz La'aretz, when I go away from Syria, I go further to Iraq, to Saudi Arabia, to further places, then the Sofek becomes more allowed, meaning Yored velokeach ubelvad shelo yarenu loiket, which means I'm allowed to buy it right outside his field. Yeah, the Machlokas Rishonim, I'm following Rashi now. Mahmoud goes into the field, and I can see him, he's closing the door behind him. I mean what I say. I know that as I'm waiting outside, waiting with my credit card to pay him, he's going in there and very likely picking for me. He's picking what? He's picking maybe Orla, and that's allowed. That in Syria is not allowed, but in Chutz La'aretz it's allowed. Ubilavad shelo yir'enu loiket. As long as I don't see the crime in front of my eyes, as long as I don't see mamish picking in front of me from the Orla tree, in other words, I can close my eyes in Chutz La'aretz. That in Syria I'm not allowed to do. Again, in Syria, I'm allowed to buy a Sofek in the market, in the street, outside the field. Okay. But in Chutz La'aretz proper, I'm even more allowed. What can I do there? Behind closed doors, he goes in there. I don't know what he does there. Good chances, 50% that he's speaking from Orla, and that's fine. Why? That's Gzeras HaKosuf. Sofek Orla and Chutz La'aretz is allowed, but it's Doraisa. So what? Sofek Orla, all by Doraisa is allowed. Adkan. So again, Eretz Yisrael, Sofek Doraisa Osur. Syria and Chutz La'aretz. Let's go all the way to Chutz La'aretz now to make it clearer. In Chutz La'aretz, even though he says, okay, I'm bringing you stuff, no problem. According to the Ran, I mean, no, not Ran, I mean Rashi now. I mean Rashi, he goes into the field, could very well be that he's actually picking from the Orla, Shelo Yirenu, what you don't see doesn't hurt you. We're not playing shtick. That's what Rabbanon said is okay. That, yeah, in other words, yeah, because Sofek Orla, it's not, that's what the Torah says. It's actually not the Rabbanon. The Torah decided that even that level of Sofek is okay. Right? That's in Orla. Ad kana kofa aleph. Dilu gabe Kilayim tanan. When it comes to Kilayim, you will see one level higher of Kula. Where one level, I'm preparing you to what we're about to see now, Sofek Kilayim is more mutter. What does it mean? Tanan. Kerem and a tua yerek. There's a kerem. What's a kerem? What do you have in a kerem? Vine. No, vine. Grapes. A vineyard, which has in it, stuck there in the middle, not very nice, yerek. In other words, as I told you, when you have a kerem with the shape of a kerem, 1, 1, 2 and 1, or 4 and 1, you have a proper shape halachically of a vineyard, and too close for comfort is stuck yerek, a vegetable. Midoraisa, it could be also the yerek nimkar chutz aloi. So this guy has a kerem. That kerem has some vegetables that are just too close for whatever. And now, Bekitzer, I have a field, and that field yields some Kilayim and some not Kilayim. We're now in Kilayim, not Orla. Kilayim, mixed together. Now we're going to go again through Israel, the land of Israel, Syria, and Chutz La'aretz, yeah, Kyrgyzstan. Kerem and Atua Yerek. The Yerek nimkar chutz aloi. The yerek is being sold. The carrots, the lettuce, which could be from Kilayim, are sold outside the field. But it's also in Eretz Yisrael, it's also Sofek Kilayim. Yeah, that guy, Yaron, the nice farmer, very nice guy. Yeah, good, fine. What about him? He has Kilayim, and I know it, and he has non-Kilayim. He's selling right outside his field, and could be it's Kilayim. Say, hi, Yaron, so sorry, I can't buy from you because, I'm on a special diet. Bye. You don't buy because Sofik Doraisa la Chumrah. The Syria mutter, again, Syria is okay because although Syria is close to Eretz Israel, but in Syria, as long as it's a normal outside the field Sofik, yeah, Mahmoud is selling outside his field of maybe Kilayim, maybe not Kilayim, as long as I don't cross the line physically, as we're going to see, okay, it's a Sofik, they allowed that in Syria. But listen to this carefully now. Here comes the punchline. B'chutz la'aretz, if I'm really far, yeah, I'm in Afghanistan, yoyred v'lo yikent, bilvad shelo yilkut bayad. Here's a big machlokes rishonim. Says Rashi, hold tight. I can actually watch it in action. I can watch the guy in Chutz la'aretz, Mackenzie, who's going into the field of Kilayim, and I can see him picking from the carrots of Kilayim, yeah? As long as I don't do it, even if I see him doing it, that level of Sofek is okay. Wow. So you, 10 points and a note to the Rebbetzin. It's not Sofek. That's a question of the run against Rashi. But let me finish first. Very nice. Beautiful, but wait. In general, we see one thing here. The level of Sofek of Orla, now let's erase Syria and Israel. Shouldn't say erase them off the map. Yeah, maybe Syria, not Israel. Yeah, let's leave Syria and Israel outside the equation now. Yeah, let's talk about real Chutz La'aretz. Yeah, and China, America. Yeah, then we see that when it came to Orla, the level of Sofek was, I can close my eyes. I don't know what he's doing there. Oops. And Mackenzie goes and picks the Orla in his field. Good chances that it's giving me what? I know he's going into a field where 50% is Orla. I'm okay. But I'm not allowed to follow him into the field and see him, in action committing the crime, yeah, so to speak. Kilayim, I can mamish follow him into the field, see him taking from the Kilayim, and it's okay. So you see, thank you, one second. You see that Kilayim, the level of Sofek Kilayim is more permissible, is more lenient than the one of Orla. Says Ula, you see, you know why? I know why. According to me, Ula, and my party, I know that Sofek Orla b'chutz la'aretz is really doraisa, but we allowed it. The Sofek Kilayim is the Rabbanon. Of course, it's more lenient. That's a Sofek doraisa with a chip on its shoulder, and that's the Rabbanon. That's a doraisa is more severe than the Rabbanon. Ela l'didach, I promise you, I'm going to say the second shot soon. But according to you, who Shmuel, Rav Yehuda and Shmuel, you said that Kilayim and Orla are all the same. If so, why the difference in levels? Lametes Amud Aleph. Nitni, the Mishnah should tell us, Oy zeh v'zeh yored v'lokeach, or zeh v'zeh yored v'loiket. The Mishnah should treat Kilayim and Orla equally because they're both the Rabbanon, right? So either you're allowed to close your eyes, close the fence, and allow Mackenzie the farmer to take whatever he wants without me knowing, or you should allow me to follow him and see how he's taking it. But why differentiating? What's the difference according to you? I want to now say the pshat of the Ran. Very, very nice. That question bothered me, so I looked in the Ran. The Ran has a different pshat to Rashi. The Ran has a different pshat like this. He says like that. Listen to this. In Orla, I'm allowed to follow him into the field, and in the field, where I know there's let's say 50% of Orla trees, he has in the field boxes in the side of the fruit, of the maybe forbidden fruit. In Orla, I'm allowed to take it. But to buy that, I'm not allowed to ask him pick some for me. He can't do it on my behalf as a shaliach of me, because I'm asking him, please pick me 50% chance Orla. That's too much. Masha'enkin by Kilayim, I'm allowed to do that. Not that he's allowed to give me Kilayim Peretz. Not that he's allowed to give me something for sure Kilayim. I can ask him, Mackenzie, wow, I see you have really nice, yummy, crunchy carrots. Oh, I can see half the carrots are too close to the carrot. I'm allowed to follow him into the field and ask him, pick me some carrots. I'm not asking from here, from there. He may or may not give me carrots that are osir, maybe mutter, and that's okay. Right? That's a level. By Orla, I cannot ask him to do it. But Kilayim, I'm allowed to ask him to do it for me. That's a difference. That's a very, but it's still a topic. Because maybe he's going to give me, I'm still closing my eyes. Can you give me some nice carrots from your 50% Kilayim field? No problem. Whatever he'll give me, he'll give me. I can ask him. By Orla, I cannot ask him. I can take from the produce that he already picked. So there's always one level more lenient by Kilayim rather than Orla. Says Ula, back to the question. That's I don't know. I don't have an answer for Rashi, but I know. I don't know. So I went with the Ran on the Reef. So let's just summarize and I'll hear your question soon. Again, what's the question? Says Ula, look, I'm a winner. I, Ula, me and my party, Ula, that is quoting Rabbi Yochanan, right? Ula and Rabbi Yochanan, they say no. Ula and Rabbi Yochanan say, Sofik Orla midoraisa. Orla midoraisa is the Orla b'chutzarts is the oraisa. Kilayim b'chutzarts is the rabbanon. Hence, I can clearly know and understand why Sofik Orla b'chutzarts is more severe, more stark than Sofik Kilayim. For sure, that's all. I said that's the rabbanon. We all know that. But you guys, you people, you Shmuel and Rav Yehuda, why is it that according to you, the two different levels? You said that they're both the rabbanon. So why should there be a difference? Yes. Okay. Question. Answer the Gemara, very easy. And Shmuel had a different version in the Mishnah. However, Shmuel Ravanan answers the Gemara. Yeah, Shmuel told Ravanan, Tni, you know what the right way of learning this Mishnah? Oy, zev ze yored velokeach, or zev ze yored veloiket. Pam 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 pam. In other words, Shmuel says, yes, you asking me, you're claiming attacking me from the Mishnah. The right version of the Mishnah should either be both lokeach, meaning I can just buy, right? And being a passive buyer and not ask him and not follow him to the field. Or in both cases, like it, that I see him as he's taking it or asking him to pick from the suffix. And the right version should equalize Orla and Kilayim because I believe strongly that they're both the Rabbanon and this Mishnah that you have the wrong version. And we go now one step further. Mar brei de Ravna matni lekula. Mar, the son of Ravna, following Shmuel, he's in the Shmuel party. The Shmuel party is what? Both the Rabbanon, right? And he followed the option of learning both Mishnayos lekula. You're allowed to actually ask the guy, the goy in the field, pick it from me, take it from me, whatever, as long as you do take it with your hand. And again, according to Rashi, you can even see him taking the Isser, as long as you didn't take it with your hands, it's okay, which is a big Kiddush. Now, the Rabbanon party are having a party. Now they're getting stronger they're getting more extreme, and I saw a very nice Lomdus to explain it. They're becoming more extreme in their Kula approach of Orla in Chutz La'aretz. Listen to this. Omer Levi LeShmuel. Levi approached Shmuel. Shmuel is the head of the Rabbanon party, right? Shmuel is the one who says Orla the Rabbanon, Chutz La'aretz. Says Levi to Shmuel, Aryuch. Aryuch was a nice name, was a very respectable alias for Shmuel. Aryuch means a king. They approached Shmuel calling him my king. You know why Shmuel's called the king? Beautiful pshat by Tosfos somewhere. Tosfos says Shmuel, Alocha is laku by Dine Mominus. When it comes to Manimet, Alocha like Shmuel. And we all know the halacha bevakam kuf yud gimel amud aleph, dina de malchusa, dina. When it comes to money matters, up to a point, the malchus decides. So because Shmuel was the one who's the Av Beis Din and the one deciding regarding money, he, in a way, is equivalent to a melech, dina malchusa dina. That's why Shmuel is called, Malki, Aryuch. Aryuch is also the name of a melech in Bereshis. Now, says Levi to Shmuel, listen to this. Sapekli vana eichul. Meaning, listen to this. They lived in Babylonia. They lived in Bavel. He says, Shmuel, can you pick some Orla fruit for me? Yes. You pick it for me. I will receive the fruit, and you don't tell me that it's Orla, and I'll be none the wiser, and I'll eat them. You get that? It's not Tim McKenzie anymore. They're taking it one step further. They're telling me, the one Jew can pick Orla fruit from the Orla tree, put it in a nice basket, give it to another Yid, these are Levi and Shmuel, and the other Yid wouldn't know it's Orla. Don't tell me it's Orla. Don't inform me that it's Orla, and it'll be okay. What's going on over here? I saw a very, very nice pshat. Very nice lomdish pshat by somebody from Bnei Brak, Rav Eitan. I just searched in Oitzer Chochma, and he says as follows. Why can a Jew pick Orla? Mele, me, if I'm none the wiser, right? Yeah, I'm allowed to eat Orla picked by Mackenzie, or maybe even picked by Yaron in Chutz La'aretz, right? But the Jews picking Orla and giving it to the other Jew isn't Lifnei Iver? Says him, no. Orla usually is din in the Chefza. Why is Orla not allowed, or Chazir, or Shatnez, or Kilayim, or cheeseburger? Why? Because it's a Chefza Visser. Chazir is strafe. Nothing. I can't eat it. Orla in Chutz La'aretz, yeah, the Suffolk Orla in Chutz La'aretz, which they believe is only is for sure allowed. Suffolk Orla is allowed. L'kula alma, either the Oraisa or the Rabbanon. They believe, even though Suffolk is just the Rabbanon, it's an Isser on the Gavra, yeah, which means I have an Isser to actually go ahead and pick it myself. I have an Isser to eat Orla only if I, as a Gavra, know that it's a Suffolk Orla, right? But if I don't know that it's Suffolk Orla, it's absolutely fine. It's like eating Badat's sandwich. It's absolutely fine. He's not machtimi. It's not lifnei iver. Because if he doesn't tell me, it's as if the fruit is kosher. It depends on my knowledge. So if Shmuel picks the fruit for Levi, and Levi says, I don't know, and Shmuel says, I don't know, and it's true, maybe Shmuel gave him kosher ones, yeah? Not knowing is not a technical suffix. It's embedded in the Isser. It's not Asr. It's as if I gave him a glass of water, but not say the Charedis, yeah? Because his lack of knowledge is intrinsic in the heter, so it's mutter. I prefer no. Okay, give me a minute. It's lomdus. Think about it. Sleep over it. Okay. Bekitzer, Shmuel took it to an extent. Not now. It's at night. Shmuel took it to the extent of what? Suffolk Olam Chutzat is so derabanan. It's so allowed. Yeah, excuse my English. That even one Jew can pick for the other, as long as the recipient doesn't know, is fine. Lechatchila. And let's continue, and then I'll hear you. Rav Avia and Rabba Bar Rav Chanan, they followed, became accepted. Other Choshev Amaroim, what did they do? Mesapku speki la'adadi. Yeah, in other words, they started mesapik to each other. Mesapek doesn't mean to supply. Mesapek means they created a suffix. I picked Orla, gave it to my friend. Why should I throw the Orla fruit in Chutz La'aretz? They're fine, they're good. He proves another point. Orla is osir what? When Orla is osir, it's osir ba'ano. Here it's not osir ba'ano. I know that my tree is Orla, it's mine, and I'm a Jew, and I live in Chutzatz, I live in Nepal, and I have a tree over there, only 2 years old. I can pick it and give my friend. Why? Because it's not osir ba'ano. Because for him it's allowed completely. For my uninformed friend, that fruit is the kosher l'mehadrin min mehadrin. Mimel, it's not osir ba'ano either. Get it? As opposed to isur chefza, which lies on the object, this lies on the person. And if the person is not knowledgeable, the fruit is kosher l'chatchila. You have a problem with drinking a cup of water be'eshgachas abadatz? Fine. Beautiful omdus. Nah, they took it. Very quick questions now, but I'd like to continue unless you have specific questions. Yes. He was first. Yes, I'm with you. Thank you both. And the answer is no. If I have a suffix d'Rabbanon in other places, suffix d'Rabbanon l'kula, nobody says you can create such a funny thing to tell another Jew, give me something suffix d'Rabbanon l'chatchila. Suffix d'Rabbanon is a b'diavedika thing, usually. Here, there's a special din in Orla, which soon we'll see why it makes sense. You do not reflect, do not derive and extrapolate from here to other d'Rabbanons. Let's continue. Guys, we're really in the middle. Amri, you're saying a lot of nice things, but I see that we need more information. Now comes a much higher level of kula. Now listen to this. Now it's getting really... Amri Charifi de Pumpadisa. There were 2 Ameroim who had the very choshev name. They had the choshev description. Eifa and Avimi, they were the sharp ones. They were the Charifim, the Lamdonim of the choshev yeshiva Pumpadisa. You know, they said, Ein Orla b'chutz la'aretz. Pam, param, pam, pam, pam. There's no Orla in chutz la'aretz. Finished. The rights of the Rabbanon, Orla does not apply in chutz la'aretz. That's how they hold. They hold that Orla just doesn't exist in chutz la'aretz. Now, that nobody said Meaning what? According to them, what would they say? My name is Moshe Chaim Tzadik Hador, and I have a field in Costa Rica. I'm allowed to plant what? Trees and eat after the first and second year. Lechatchila, there's no Orla and Chutz La'aretz. The whole machlokes up until now between the Ula team and the Shmuel team was about Suffolk Orla, right? Is Orla b'chutz la'aretz the Oraisa or the Rabbonon? And reflecting on the Suffolk, right? How mutter is a Suffolk. Here comes a third party, far left, far left. They say Orla and Chutz La'aretz, absolutely fine. Like Meister, like Shemitah, it's absolutely okay. Here, the other parties are joining forces to fight this one, which went too far. Sholach Rav Yehuda came to Rabbi Yochanan. See, Rav Yehuda from one party is sending a letter to Rabbi Yochanan, and he says, "Look, Rabbi Yochanan, we are here in Bavel. These people in Bavel, they went out of line. They're saying there's no Orla and Chutz La'aretz whatsoever. We argue on the Rabbanan Doraisa. They say it's absolutely fine. What do we do about it?" Sholach Rav Yochanan sent him a letter back from Eretz Yisrael back to Bavel. Stoim Sfeika, we got to deal with this now. Stoim Sfeika, the Abed Vado'o, the Hachriza Perosen Shetunim Gniza. If this is Chinese for you, I'll explain. Stoim Sfeika, which means both you and I agree on different levels that Sofik Orla in Chutz La'aretz is okay. Yes, I said Rabbanan, the Sofik is okay. Do not advertise that anymore. Don't publicize it. I see that people are taking it to the wrong place. Not everything you know in Torah, you should know that. That's a rule in many places in Shas. You don't tell every halacha to every person. Why? Some people who are in Hebrew called chafifnikim, they're trying always to look for kulos, yeah? So if you tell them a kula, they'll take it 10 miles further, right? Okay? In other words, so in this case, don't publicize. Don't make it public. Don't advertise to the whole world that Suffolk Orla is allowed. Only the Chachamim should know it, but not everyone should know it. The Abed Vado, those Orla which we know is Orla, which those people of the Pumbedis are being lenient, you should now Abed. You should now don't allow them, but Abed Be'edab, destroy the fruit. The fruit of Orla that these people are eating, go to the fields and destroy it. The Hachriza Perosen Shetunim Gniza. Whoever bought fruit from them, you should say that their fruit of Orla should be nignaz, should be kept as a rot, allowed to be rot in the ground. Oh, now, and continues, soon I have a question on that. Listen to this, he goes further, stark. The Chola Omer and Orla b'chutz la'aretz, he gets a curse. Whoever follows that left-wing idea that what? Orla is absolutely fine in chutz la'aretz, you know what will be his punishment? I'm cursing him. Lo yelo nin v'neched. He won't have a child. Nin in Old Hebrew is not a grandchild, but a son. He will not have a son or a grandson. Mashlich chevel begorel b'kal Hashem. I checked the pasuk in Micha. Mashlich chevel begorel b'kal Hashem means the one who throws the rope means the one who measures the land. How would they measure land in the past? With ropes. That's also in Bava Basra. He will not have a part in Eretz Yisrael. He will never own a land. Somebody who says there's no Orla and Chutz La'aretz will never be a landowner. That's a klolo. So now he was very stark. Sofik Orla and Chutz La'aretz is okay, but I see people are taking it the wrong way. Let's stop right here, okay? Both you and I, let's unite. No, and I'm telling you what you should do. What should you do? Don't tell the whole public that Sofik Orla is okay. You whisper it in koilel to the Talmidei Chachamim. You don't put it on YouTube, not on Torah anytime even, just in your own little group. What about the Vadai? Destroy it. The Vadai Orla, which are already dealing with and are now. What's the form of destruction we said of the part that was sold? You bury it. You go in it. Why not burn it? Frekta Achroinim, I think even the Rishonim, excuse me, normally Orla has to be burnt. Yeah, let somebody pick fruit of Orla who wants to sell it, you burn it. Hey, why don't you burn it? Why do you bury it? As I told you before, Orla in Chutz La'aretz is not the same as Orla in Eretz Yisrael. Yes? Why? Because it's only a gzera on what? On those fruit who you know. If you know that it's osir, it becomes osir. It depends on your knowledge. But the fruit as of themselves are not as osir as the one in Eretz Yisrael. That's why they're not being burnt, they're only being buried. Okay. Now, frek the Gemore, ve'inhu keman savrua. I kept saying the left-wing party, I shouldn't have spoken like that about the Amoraim. These are Heilige Amoraim. when they said that Orla is allowed in Chutz La'aretz, I'm sure they were basing themselves on something. Keman Savua. These Amoraim, what did they base themselves on? On whose opinion did they rely when they allowed Orla in Chutz La'aretz? They have who to rely on. Kiyodetanya, it says in the Brisa, listen to this list of names. Ablozo Bar Bioisi, Oimer Mishum Rabbi Yosi Medor Maska, Shoma Mishum Rabbi Yosi Aglili, Tanoim, Chashuvim, Shoma Mishum Rabbi Yochanan Ben Nuri, Shoma Mishum Rabbi Lezer Agodol, 5 generations, wow, of Tanoim said, Ein Orla B'chutz La'aretz. So they had to base themselves on. Although Shmuel and Ula on both sides of the fence were what? Saying that Orla and Chutz is not allowed, these Tanoim were the base for the other Moroim who said Orla is allowed completely. Who is at the top of the list? Excuse me, Rabbi Lezer Agodol. What did Rabbi Lezer say in our Mishnah? Rabbi Lezer says that Orla is allowed in Chutzat completely. Is that so? Let's refresh our memory from the Mishnah we just learned. The Anantnan, we saw in our current Mishnah, we saw Rabbi Lezer Omer Af HaChodosh. Rabbi Lezer says, I want to remind you what we learned in Daf Lamed Zayin Amud Aleph. Tanakama says Chutz min Orla v'Kilayim that apply in Chutz La'aretz, and Rabbi Lezer says also Chodosh applies in Chutz La'aretz. Means what? The Rabbi Lezer believes also meaning Chodosh besides Orla and Kilayim. So he believes Orla and Kilayim do apply in Chutz La'aretz. How can Rabbi Lezer all of a sudden says that it doesn't apply in Chutz La'aretz? Says the Gemara, no, you misread Rabbi Lezer. As we said then, we had such a tzad. Says no, Tni Chodosh without Af Chodosh. We have to omit the word Af. Or Af can go at the beginning, or there is no Af, which means Rabbi Lezer didn't say also besides Orla and Kilayim. He thinks Orla and Kilayim are absolutely cool and fine and nice in Chutz La'aretz. Yeah? Elamai Chodosh is also in Chutz La'aretz. Okay. I would continue. We started late today, maybe my fault, but I would very, very much like to continue just the next paragraph because it's a very, very crucial thing to. Yeah, okay, you're okay. 1 more minute, okay. It says the Gemara. This is, by the way, halacha l'maisa now. Now we're getting to the real, maskana. Omer Rabbi Yasi, Omer Rabbi Yochanan. Again, this is Rabbi Yochanan's party. Rabbi Yochanan is consistent. What did Rabbi Yochanan say before? Ula quoted him. Now Rav Asi is quoting Rabbi Yochanan, same thing as before. Orla b'chutz la'aretz, halacha l'Moshe miSinai. Orla b'chutz la'aretz, which you know is Orla. You live in chutz la'aretz. You have a field. You live in Central African Republic. You have a field. You have Orla. Halacha l'Moshe miSinai, not allowed. Osir midoraisa. Halacha l'Moshe miSinai. Omer Rabbi Zeh Rabbi Asi, excuse me, v'atani. It says in the Brisa. Sofik Orla ba'aretz also b'Syria mutar. Syria is allowed. Koshiken chutz la'aretz. How could that be? How can you tell me that in chutz la'aretz, even Syria, Sofik Orla is okay? I always learned since I was a child that Sofik doraisa la chumra. If you say it's doraisa, how can the Sofik be okay? I already gave you the answer, but the Gemara doesn't know it yet. Ishtoimim keshochada. He was wondering about it. He was stumped for a whole hour, for a long time. He didn't know what to answer. And then Omerle, then he replied and said, Ema, we must say, Kach ne'emar sfeika mutar, Kach ne'emar. This is the way that halacha l'Moshe miSinai came. It was part and parcel, the two parts. Sfeika mutar, vado osur. Very, very good. As I told you before, the halacha l'Moshe miSinai embedded, it contains with the two things, that the vada is osur, and the suffix is mutar. It's a chiddush miyuchad. It's well known, this halacha, by the way, to a lot of people, that the chiddush, the suffix doraisa that's allowed, halacha l'Moshe miSinai, is suffix orla in chutz la'aretz. So orla in chutz la'aretz is doraisa. And if you are the proud and happy field owner in the field in Zambia, then what? You are not allowed to eat from the orla fruit. No, keep it, let it rot, burn, whatever, nothing. Yeah, that's doraisa. Sofek Orla in chutz la'aretz, right? Although usually should have been osur by the regular rules, there's a special dispensation, special heter midoraisa, that Sofek Orla midoraisa is allowed. By the way, tomorrow I do not know if we'll start with the Gemara or I'd like to open up the subject here. Here the Rishonim, here is one of the places where the Rishonim talk about the concept of Sofik Doraisa L'Chumra is a Doraisa or Rabbanon. Are you aware of this machlokes? There's a big machlokes Rishonim. The concept of when we say that whenever I have a Sofik on a Doraisa level, they have to be strict, they have to be more rigid about it, machmir, stringent. Is that concept in the Torah, or is that concept something the Rabbanon established? And the source is here. Machlokes is the Rishonim in this daf over here. And tomorrow, Be'ezras Hashem, I'm preparing you. We should be learning the whole day about the whole hour about Kilayim. The whole series is going to be about Kilayim, and then we get to the new Mishnah Amud Beis, and the new Mishnah is all Agadita, all beautiful words of Musar and Ashkofo. Koyech Kodol. Thank you. I just want to say thank you to everybody before your questions, to everybody in Abbas Shalom, everybody in Torah Anytime, YouTube, and everywhere else. Zoom. Thank you. Atzlachu bracha. Have a great day. Shalom al Yisrael. Thank you. Everybody should come here to Eretz Yisrael to live here. Thank you.